Hey guys, hello, good evening, hi. Monday 9 p.m. So welcome to the School of Nutrition. We have Mondays kind of dedicated to that. So let me just open the laptop and I'm gonna tell you all about what you can expect today. I announced it a little bit already. Here we go. So every Monday I hold the School of Nutrition, which is one of my quite favorite, I have to say, projects that I do. For the ones that don't know me, my name is Anastasia. I'm one of the health ambassadors of Amsterdam City, and my greatest kind of desire, wish is to help, inspire, support people to live a healthy, active lifestyle. I do that through all kinds of different ways. 9 o'clock in the morning, every single morning, working out, exercising, making sure we stay fit. And then every Monday at 9 p.m., I hold sort of the other side of being healthy, which is being healthy through food. So that project I call the School of Nutrition. Every Monday is a different topic. And this Monday, we're going to talk about carbs, basically, sugar, carbs, and glycemic index, or glycemic index, actually, in English. Sort of proper English, I believe so. So glycemic index. Last time we talked about proteins. Before that, we talked about healthy breakfast. So if you guys feel like you have, you need some more information on those topics, I have my YouTube channel. I have all the links. You guys can let me know. I can share it with you if you've sort of missed out on something. So let me just, I have a little presentation, which unfortunately I can't show it to you, but just simply because of this live. The intention with these lives is that we don't go behind sort of Skype logins and Zoom logins and those kinds of things, but that is really sort of out there available for anybody that wants to follow on your own convenience. If you can do the 9 p.m. session, perfect. If you cannot do the 9 p.m. session, then you can just see this video on your own time. Okay, cool. So before we actually sort of deep dive a little bit more into this, I like to always point out that I am sort of an ambassador of health for the Amsterdam City, but that being said, that does not mean that I know everything. Actually, on the contrary, I know I don't know everything. I know I don't have all the answers, but I definitely have a certain experience of mine, which I have sort of built out through the years. So I rather bring a certain perspective of mine in these chats and these lives, practical tips and tricks which you can do, because I have my own path that I have followed with especially weight loss. I'm a mom of 3. I'm almost 39 years old, so I was really struggling with weight. I was extremely overweight and actually obesitas at one point, risking diabetes 2 type, having problems with very low energy, going to the toilet and those kinds of really problems with the skin, all those things, which over the years I've fixed through, thankfully, through good nutrition, good food in combination with supplements and with some regular workout. And over the years I've actually lost over 40 kilos and still going strong on that. So I bring you my perspective into these kinds of things. Now, as I said, the previous times we talked about sort of your personal measurements. We talked about healthy breakfast and what it means to eat a healthy breakfast. And we've also talked about proteins. And one of the tips I share with you guys is that if you actually, because this is going to last for about 12-13 weeks, is that if you would like to change something, my advice would be that you can measure yourself just for the sake of keeping a track of your progress and things that you are going to change. So my sort of open question to you would be, from the topics we talked about until now, which is healthy breakfast, information about protein intake, what type of proteins are there, have you actually maybe implemented something or planning to implement something? And if you feel like you can do that all by yourself, perfectly fine. If you feel that you need any support, any guidance, any just sort of tips and tricks, or really the full range of coaching, that I'm really here for you guys. I want you to know that, and I'm willing to go ahead with the journey. We just launched a 21 days healthy challenge for the month of May. I have more than my sort of kind of, let's say, tops is that I can guide about 10 people, but I have actually more than 10 people that are now signing up, which means that there is quite a lot of need for this type of guiding and coaching sessions, and I'm more than happy to do that for you guys. I'll be actually very honored to do so. So one of the things we talked, and it's really, if you really feel like starting from somewhere, I would say, guys, just focus first and foremost, little steps, your breakfast. So that would be my number one tip to you, because it's also the number one sort of golden rule of healthy lifestyle, which is really start your day with a healthy breakfast. We talked about that previous times. Again, if you want to hear about that, you can either look at my Facebook, or I can share with you the YouTube video link for free. And that really influences how you guys feel, how your day starts. So really, breakfast will be the number one tip. Healthy, balanced breakfast will be the number one tip for you guys that I can give you. Now, tonight is really more about a general topic we kind of all get really scared about, which is carbs, sugar, and glycemic index. So those are the couple of things connected. Before we deep dive into that, let's just remind ourselves once again the 6 for success, the 6 elements for success, a healthy life, meaning, which is proteins, right? And then enough proteins per day, that's very important. Good carbs, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, which means complex carbs. Number 3 is enough activity. So we should do about 30 minutes per day, every day, just a bit of moving around, whether that would be some mild jogging or a little bit more speed walking. 30 minutes per day should do. We're not going to be professional athletes, but we want to live a healthy life. So that's number 3. Number 4 is water, and enough water. We need to drink enough water per day. The advice is 2 liters of water per day for women and 3 liters of water per day for men. That's without you doing any additional activity. If you do any additional activity, more on intensive activity, then another half a liter. So that's water was number 4. Number 5 is something that we all sort of know, but it's really the balance of calorie intake, so calorie in, calories out. But the most important thing is the quality of the calories that you're gonna bring in to your body. So the point here is that you shouldn't eat too less, but you also shouldn't eat too much, right? And then sort of the 6th moment, the 6th sort of very important thing about success in a healthy life is emotions and stress. When it comes to emotion, stress, and also relaxation, where the whole principle of enough rest comes in. So when we talk about emotion, stress, and rest, we should actually live a relatively hopefully balanced lifestyle with enough rest, which means for us grown-ups, that would be minimum of 7 hours, around 7 hours to 9 hours sleep. And those are sort of the 6 basic principles for healthy life. Now, I'm gonna use a couple of references when I talk about carbs, but basically, in very simple terms, I'm gonna refer to carbs in many occasions as sugar, right? Carbohydrates or sugar. So when we talk about sugar, we all know the sugar cubes. Just as a reference that you know, guys, what we are talking about, one sugar cube. So if you use that for your coffee, one sugar cube is equal to 4 grams of sugar. Just as a reference, not that you have to remember this, just as a reference point. So let's say if we look at our food and the food we have, there is sugar in everything. Let's get that straight. There is sugar in everything. There is carbs in everything, or in simple terms, sugar. But there are two different points which are very important: the quantity of the sugar in the elements and the type of sugar in the elements. So even a salad or veggies will have sugar in it. So per 100 grams of veggies, salad, you will have about half a cube of sugar. Yeah, so that would be 2 grams of sugar, roughly. This is just a very general indication. So veggies are where you're gonna get and find the least bit of sugar. And as we move into the more different types of, even fruit has quite a lot of sugar. It's a different type. It's a fructose, but it's still sugar. And as we move towards more the bread and the pasta and the cookies, they even like get 12, 13, 14 cookies, even like 100 grams of cookies, 15 cubes of sugar. So that's significant, right? That's pretty significant. Just that you know, fruit in principle, if veggies have about half a cube, fruits in general, and I'm not talking about dried fruits, I'm not talking about across the really different types of fresh fruit, they will have about 2 cubes of sugar. Rice, it's 8, and so on and so forth. What we always think about is that if we eat too much of fat products that contain fat, is how we get extra kilos, right? That fat is the only or the most dominant factor in us getting fat, or that was at least for many, many years the opinion, and that's why we all went for the low-fat products, because there is no fat makes us fat. The fat makes us fat. Unfortunately, that's not really the case. Pretty much everything we eat, with an exception of some vitamins, minerals, and those kinds of things, but pretty much everything we eat, and especially the most critical parts, which is carbs, which is fat, which is even protein, our body stores. So the thing is that if we eat too much sugar, and you guys must probably know this by now, but I still want to kind of point it out just to avoid any misconceptions, that if you eat too much sugar, your body is going to store it and is going to transfer it into fat. It's how our body works. But on the other hand, we need carbs, we need sugar, because sugar is a very important element for proper functioning of our body. So don't think like no sugar, no carbs. That's also not good, because you're depriving your body from a very, very essential element, and that is carbohydrate or carbs. Why? Because carbs give us, when they're metabolized in our body, they give us energy. Also carbs or sugar, it is a most essential element for our muscles. So that's very important. Our brain is also a muscle, so sugar is very important for our brain. And of course, if you give proper type of carbs, enough type of carbs, not too much, not too less, for your muscles, they're going to use that as energy instead of the protein that you're going to eat. So it's just simply how sort of metabolically our body works. But the point here is that carbs are very important, and carbs in proper a proper type and proper quantity is very important for our body. Now, of course, one of the sort of first question you ask yourself, okay, tell me what is the proper good carb and how much we should eat. So we're going to get to that as well. In general, there are two types of carbs. So one, and I'm going to go a little bit more into details, but the best type of carbs are the carbs that are, as we call it, complex type of carbs. Complex type of carbs. And we have, so complex, and we have simple types of carbs, right? So the complex type of carbs are the ones that our body will slowly absorb over time. Therefore, creates enough energy for our body, and our body has time enough to absorb that energy, therefore not stored into fat. So when we talk about carbs, again, two sorts of carbs. The simple types of carbs are carbs that are getting, or sugar that is getting very, very fast absorbed into our body, which means that when you get it, sugar levels go up, insulin goes up, so it creates a spike, but unfortunately also creates a big dip afterwards. So the body doesn't have time, because it's a very quick process of getting your sugar up, getting your insulin up. The body doesn't have time to absorb the energy that is being created by the type of sugar, simple carb, and stores the energy or the carbs that cannot be metabolized. Simple types of carbs are actually found in all types of sugar drinks, all types of fruit drinks, in fruit as well. So it's also very important how much of what type of fruit you're going to eat. And of course, in all kinds of chocolate, cookies, cakes, white bread, white pasta, and so on and so forth. So those are the simple types of carbs where the spike of the sugar in our body gets pretty high. Then you have the second type of carbs, and this is what we mean by good carbs when you talk about the complex type of carbs. Complex type of carbs, and the name itself says that they're a little bit more complex, so therefore our body needs more time to metabolize, needs more time to convert it into an energy. There is not such a big spike in our sugar levels and our insulin levels, and our body can simply convert the energy that is created by that, by metabolizing the type of carb, into using it for our body, and hence it's less likely that it's going to store. Of course, if you eat too much of it, it's also not good, but just the major difference with the simple types of carbs is that this type of carbs are much more healthier, much better for our body. The good thing about, sort of the extra good thing about the complex carbs is that usually they are found in types of, especially veggies, right? So not as much as fruit, as much as in veggies, where there will be also a quite high level of digestive fiber. So that's good. Where you're going to find the carb, you're going to find the fiber, and that's actually very, very good. And usually it comes in the veggies. Now, the complex type of carbs, you can find them, as I just mentioned, in veggies, but you can also find them in fruit that have skin, unpeeled fruit. So it will be apple or orange or those type of fruits, or banana, you know, that it's unpeeled, stays unpeeled. If you can, ideally, eat the veggies and eat the fruit with the skin. Then the complex carbs are found in all kinds of grains. Yeah, so what you use to make a whole grain bread, right? So grains, or whole grain pasta, whole grain waffles, or just make sure that you read the label that it actually is a whole grain in it. And as I mentioned, any other type of whole grain product. So the complex carbs. So the difference, on one side we have the simple types of carbs. They have too much sugar, so they are actually too much sugary for our body. Our body is not able to absorb the energy created by it, therefore gets transferred into fat. On the other side, we have the complex carbs that are good for our body, and we need to eat those type of complex carbs in, of course, mild proportions, but eat that type of carbs because they're good for our body. The energy that is created for those type of carbs, our body can much easily absorb. Now, here we go in the topic of the glycemic index. The simple carbs are carbs that have a very high glycemic index. Therefore, it creates very high spikes in our body, and therefore the glycemic index is high. The complex type of carbs are products that are actually low in glycemic index, and we need to look for those products that are low in glycemic index. So the glycemic index is something that sort of, if you're a healthy person, you will not get concerned by it. But if you are a person struggling with weight, if you're a person struggling with especially diabetes, and especially the diabetes type 2, where you need to make sure that you don't create those spikes in your blood sugar, the glycemic index becomes very important topic. And in general, we should all know it, because we don't want to have these fluctuations in our sugar level up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. So just remember, for the glycemic index, the lower the glycemic index, the better; the higher, the worse. I just want to make sure that I've covered everything. And as mentioned, we want to look for those complex carbs because they are the ones that are going to have this low type of glycemic index. So sort of just a bit of a recap before I can go a little bit more into some further topic of what you can do as practical tips, because it's nice we have all the theory and we kind of cover all the topics, but what do we do with it? Is really knowledge half the battle? When we are talking about people that struggle with weight, whether that will be an extra or too little, but just general struggle with weight, it's very, very important that all the important factors are brought into the body. And it's also very important when we talk about carbs, that the healthy carbs or the complex carbs, the ones with a low glycemic index, are being used in our everyday life. If we actually don't do that, we risk malnutrition, which means not feeding our body properly. And therefore, even if you go and lose weight, eventually it's going to backfire because your body is simply not fed properly. So when we talk about glycemic index, a couple of tips and a couple of more tips that I'm going to share later. There sort of all the product groups are divided into really 3 types of categories when it comes to glycemic index. So one is the one that is below 55. This is just a number. Why? Because those are the type of products that cause the least reaction in our body. So the least energy spikes in our body, and that's what we want to go for. The second one is between 55 and 69, which is sort of okay, and anything that is above 70 is actually creates a very high type of reaction in our body, which means that creates very big spikes in our body, and we don't want to have that. So as a general rule, try to stick to products that will have below 70, ideally even below 55 glycemic index. There are different ones, and the good news is that, for instance, anything that is, as I said, veggies, most of the fruits or some of the fruits fall into this category. A lot of the complex carbs type of products. But the good news is there is like a sort of a general rule of tables You can even find them on internet, but I can provide it to you guys. I can share that with you. I can share with you just sort of general group of products that are falling into this low glycemic group, into the middle and into the high. We want to ideally avoid the high. And I can also provide to you guys sort of a shopping list. So list you can use, grocery list, which you can use just in general when you go to the supermarket, that you sort of know what you're dealing yourself with when it comes to protein, when it comes to carbs, and those kinds of things. So really trying to build a healthy habit. So if you reach out to me, guys, I can provide that. I can even provide a further advice, and we can have a chat and you see where you are and if you need any help. If you can implement things by yourself, perfect. If not, again, I'm here to help. So again, there are sort of general good rules about this glycemic index tables. The most important thing is that, again, avoiding the high ones, because those are the simple carbs, and really sticking to the middle and low ones, because they are the complex carbs and that we wanna eat. Now, when we usually, and this is where it becomes very tricky, when we go into everyday decisions for when we feel like eating, right? When we are hungry, we have two choices really. One choice is, are we gonna go for products with healthy carbs, or products that we're gonna go with unhealthy carbs? Products that are gonna go, the healthy carbs is the low glycemic index, or the ones that are with high glycemic index and they're unhealthy. It's when you do those decisions, I'm not saying that, you know, always sort of think about, oh my God, am I doing the right choice? No, but just be aware that simple carbs, high glycemic index, cause big reactions into the body. They're going to store fat simply because our body cannot absorb the energy, and eventually it's going to cause weight gain. Or you can go for a low glycemic index, which is complex carbs, which our body can, they're less severe processes going on there. The energy that is created, the body can absorb, and therefore it's not going to store it in fat, hence you can control your weight. So you have, just when you be aware of when you make the decisions. That's sort of all I'm saying. Now, when we have healthy meals, it's also very important that we are aware of these choices and make the proper choices, right? So it is just as general tip, make sure that when you eat in every of your meals, you bring in some fiber, because fiber, usually the products that contain fiber, they will contain also the complex carbs, hence the low glycemic index carbs or products. Like, so wherever you can, make sure that you, of course, wash well your fruits and veggies, but make sure that you, if you can, eat it together with the skin, where it's possible, of course. Then second tip would be, when you cook your veggies, or if you sometimes even cook your fruits, but steam them or whatever, but mostly we do that for veggies, try to make sure that they're really just steamed. They're steamed on just for a few minutes, not too much cooked, because they are going to contain still all the that's a Dutch word, all the fiber and all the vitamins, minerals, but also they're actually going to remain and keep their carb level, so we're not going to create weird energy processes in the food while we cook it. So they're going to still contain the low glycemic index. So try to keep them either very lightly cooked or fresh, especially for veggies. Really try to eat them as raw as possible. Clean them, wash them, but raw. When you look at your sort of a tip number 3, when you look at your meals, just your sort of plate, make sure that if you eat too much pasta, too much rice, or let me put it this way, a general rule of thumb of your meal is, and this is what I'm trying to also teach people that go on a program with me, is a meal, the size of a meal, because people ask me like, but how much and how many calories, and your 2 hands. So your 2 hands are really your belly, your stomach. Your 2 hands are the size of your plate. And this is how much we should eat per meal. And of course, therefore, several times per day, because it's not good to eat too much. But this is our meal. Half of it, try to make it into veggie, salad, whatever it is. The other half, quarter of it, make sure that it's protein, and up to maximum a quarter of it, make sure that it's carbs. Ideally, if you want, you can even exchange those carbs and add more veggies if you feel like it. And of course, with that comes also the fiber. Okay, so when we talk about right, bringing enough and healthy carbs into our body, it's always very, very difficult. So what I like to do, again, I'm a mom of 3 boys. I don't really have all the time in the world to cook every single meal. So I sometimes need to take shortcuts, but I don't want to take shortcuts by jeopardizing my health. So that's a no-go, definite no-go. But I do take shortcuts by adding or supplementing my body with supplements. I do that through Herbalife Nutrition, brand that I love. It has absolutely and literally changed my health and improved my life tremendously. I do so for the past 6 years. But all I'm saying is supplements are actually going to, if you combine them properly with your food, they're good for your health. If they're high quality, you know, good research behind them, like Herbalife Nutrition, 40 years already on the market, more than 300 doctors, dietitians, nutritionists behind the product. So I am 200% sure what I'm putting in my body. Good supplements can actually supplement your body and bring everything into your body that you're unable to bring through your food. There are many, many ways how you can try it out and see if it works for you. We have the 21-day challenge now that is going on. We have 1-week trial packs if you would like to go ahead and try supplementing your food just to see how you feel. There are different options, but just make sure, guys, whatever you do, don't cut on your good nutrients. Just don't compromise your health for anything. Make sure that you bring anything properly in your body. So with that, again, the basis for healthy life are the 6 for success, which is protein, good carbs, enough activity, water, calorie intake, calories in, calories out, and essential nutrients. And number 6 is emotion, stress, and enough rest. So those are the basic 6. A couple of thoughts that I want to leave you with, and I can close the night for tonight, is that we don't get what we wish for, but we get what we're going to work for. So that means that it's all beautiful and nice, guys, that I do these chats and lives, and they're interesting, and you guys follow me, and I get the thumbs up and the hearts, and I really, really appreciate that. But the point of all this is that we all, including myself, including you, change something. So knowledge is maybe perhaps half of the battle, but we got to make sure that whatever it is that we're gonna hear, we're gonna implement and do. So is really knowledge half the battle? I'm not sure, because after this we actually have to go ahead and do something. So if you feel like there is something you want to reach for yourselves, again, and you need help and support, reach out, let me know. I'm here to help you guys. I'd love to do that. We can do that in all kinds of ways. But again, that's why this is every week and not every day, because then we have more than enough time to implement things we've heard and learned here. If you have questions about the grocery list, or if you have questions about products with low, high, medium glycemic index, let me know, guys. Text me and I'll share that with you. We can have a chat and see how we can further help each other. And I'm gonna leave you with that, guys. So tonight was that on the topic of carbs. I hope it was you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Next time, so next Monday, we're gonna talk about a topic which is very, very interesting, and that is why diets, in the traditional sense of the word, dieting, why diets don't actually work. So I'm going to leave you with that, just to make a little teaser for next Monday, 9 p.m. We're going to talk about why diets don't work and what actually works, right? That's the point. I hope you enjoyed it tonight, guys. Again, thank you very, very much for bearing with me through all my lives that I go on now on Instagram and Facebook and all that. If you have any questions, reach out. If you would like to change something and you feel like you need support, reach out. If you have a friend, family, loved one that would benefit this, bring them in, let them see this, or maybe whatever it is that you can learn, you can implement yourself, and then you're going to be a great example for people to follow. Having said that, love you guys. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. Monday, tomorrow is a Liberation Day in the Netherlands, so we're going to be celebrating that. But first, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, emergency wellness workout. See you guys there. Love you guys. Thank you very much. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.